Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome to Evercade A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of the games on Blaze's Evercade retro gaming platform. Today we're looking at Ninja Golf, which was a 1990 release originally for Atari 7800, developed by Blue Sky Software. Now, Blue Sky Software would later go on to develop Shadowrun and the two Vectorman games on Sega Mega Drive, so they got around a bit. Ninja Golf is one of the most well-known games for the Atari 7800, thanks to its absurd premise. Now, although the 7800 was underappreciated in its own lifetime and can be pricey to collect for today, the Evercade plays host to one of the only official re-releases of this game, as part of the Atari Collection 1 cartridge for the platform. This is the first cartridge in the Evercade series as well. So, let's go see what all the fuss is about. Let's go play Ninja Golf. Okay, here we are with Ninja Golf from 1990 from Atari. Ready for us to play? Alright, so the gist of this is that you are a ninja, and that, well, here's the story here. After many long years of ninja training, you are finally ready for the most difficult test of all, 9 holes of Ninja Golf. So, let's begin. We come onto the course, and you'll see down in the lower left corner there's a map of the course. The static flashing dot is where we're standing, and the dot that is moving is showing where the ball will end up if we press the button right now. So what you want to try and do is get the ball as far as possible. So it's a case of timing it so that that second marker is as far away from you as possible. So there we go, not bad. And once you've done that, you have to fight your way to where your ball landed. And there are numerous different foes to deal with along the way. So we've got ninjas. We've got those gophers in the holes on the floor who are throwing stuff at you. You need to either crouch down or kick them to deal with them. And you'll see that you start with a few throwing stars that can get rid of most stuff pretty easily. But after that you have to rely on your kicks. But you can pick up more. I picked up some more there. Throwing stars are very useful for taking out the gophers in particular, because you can hit them from range with it. But you shouldn't become too reliant on them. You should sort of familiarise yourself with hitting them. That potion there gives you a bit of extra health, which is very welcome. And you will have noticed on the map in the corner of the screen, you can see your progress towards reaching where your ball is as well. So we then repeat the process to approach the hole a little bit more closely. Oh dear, that wasn't a good shot. Poorly timed. But if you do that, you only have to run a short distance, so that's okay. But since this is golf, you're trying to do this in as few shots as possible. But this is scored like a traditional video game rather than like golf. So basically what happens is the fewest strokes it takes you to get to the hole, the more points you will get. And you'll see we're also scoring points for defeating enemies along the way as well. For many people, this is the quintessential 7800 game because it sort of really shows what the machine was all about. So it's got the distinctive look of 7800 graphics, which very much have their own characteristic look to them. The 7800's colour palette is quite distinctive as well. Those bright greens and the purples in the background and that sort of thing. It's similar to the colour palette the Atari 8-bit computers had access to, but just a little bit different. Just the resolution is a little bit different. I think the 7800 could display more colours on screen at once than the Atari 8-bit computers could, because the Atari 8-bit computers were roughly on a par with... In fact, they were exactly on a par with what the Atari 5200 could do, because the internals of them were pretty much identical. Whereas the 7800 was designed to be more powerful Atari's most powerful machine at the time. It was intended, originally, to go up against the NES. Now, obviously that never happened, for one reason or another. But certainly, I think, graphically, it was capable of competing. Sound is another matter altogether. One of the most interesting and stupid things about the Atari 7800 is the fact that... Whoops! Lost a life there because I ran out of health. Yeah, one of the really stupid things about the Atari 7800 is that for whatever reason, Atari decided not to use the Pokey sound chip that was in the Atari 5200, which was a good sound chip, and in fact was the same sound chip that was used in a lot of Atari arcade games throughout the 80s. And instead, they stuck it with the what's it called, the TIA chip from the Atari 2600, which is very old technology. I say that, I mean, I guess Pokey's been around for a long time as well, but TIA was considerably less powerful in terms of its capabilities than Pokey was. And it just meant that Atari 7800 games could look great, but they would typically sound awful. Like, there was no way you would get an Atari 7800 game doing what NES games typically did, which was to have a constantly running musical soundtrack accompanying the action. You tend to have basic sound effects at best, and when you did have melody lines, they'd be simple single voice stuff like you can hear in this. But it is what it is, and it doesn't really do to dwell on what it can't do, so we may as well look at what it can do. My cat Patty has come to visit. Hello. You're not talking today. Okay. Yeah, so you can see there we have boss fights at the conclusion of each hole as well, which is quite fun. You have to throw the shuriken into the mouth of the dragon. And we continue. And you will have noticed as we're playing that as we pass over various different types of hazard, like the sand traps. Thank you, Patty. Like the sand traps and the water hazard we've got ahead of us, you'll actually be running across different types of terrain. So when we reach the water hazard on this one, we'll actually go underwater and we will be punching sharks in the face and all that sort of thing. It's a ridiculous game. It's an insane, stupid, bizarre concept for a game, but that is precisely why I love Ninja Golf. I love Ninja Golf because it does not give a shit. It does not give a shit if you think it's stupid. It knows it is stupid. It revels in the fact that it is stupid. And it loves being stupid. Whoops. Oh, died just before I got to that potion as well. That's unfortunate. I think we're on our last life. This is a surprisingly challenging game. It doesn't look... It might not look like it's very difficult, but it is tricky. I think hole 4 is about my limit normally. I'm not sure we're going to make it there this time around. We might do, though. Into the water. A lovely display of the 7800's colour capabilities there. And you see the sharks, we need to time our jumps over them so they don't hit us, and we need to sort of try and jump over their nose. I don't know if you can actually punch out the sharks. Let's give it a go. Oh, you can! Alright, we can kick sharks in the face. Guru would be disappointed in me. But she's not here, so that's okay. Anyway, they might not be sharks. Because surely on a golf course it would be fresh water. And as we know from the game Maneater, having sharks in fresh water is a fairly rare happening. It doesn't tend to come around all that often. It tends to be under very specific circumstances. Alright, let's make it to the hole. If we can last with this little bit of life we've got left. This is actually a good game to demonstrate what a difference having the 2 buttons on the 7800 controller makes. Oh god, he's going fast. Because as we mentioned previously on various Atari A to Z series, the Atari 2600 and the Atari 8-bit computers only had a single button. Well, I cannot hit him. The Atari 5200 was another matter, of course. That had about a zillion buttons on... Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, the Atari 5200 had the keypad controller and the overlays, but was also a horribly awkward controller to use with its non-centering analog joystick and all that sort of thing. You have failed in your quest. You have caused dishonour to fall upon your family and upon yourself. Your only hope to restore your honour is to try again. So, let's just do that. I like Ninja Golf, so yes, of course I'm going to play it again. On we go. Oh dear. Helps if I press the right button, doesn't it? So, one of the reasons I was most excited about the Evercade when it was announced was the fact that it was incorporating Atari 7800 games. Now, as far as I'm aware... Oh, I'm doing terribly. As far as I'm aware, there have been no official re-releases of these games on modern platforms. At one point, I think there was an Atari 7800 flashback console, but that's nowhere near as widespread as the zillion 2600 flashback consoles that there have been over the years. I think there's only been one version of it, and it might have only been in America. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it exists, but I've never seen one. I've never seen people talking about it. That gives you invincibility, which is very helpful, because you can just run straight through everything, kick them in the face for some extra points, and get where you're going much more quickly. Only lasts for 15 seconds, so... Some more of them. This game is kind of about timing in a lot of ways. It's about getting the right timing for your golf swing initially, but it's also about timing your kick so that you can sort of hit incoming enemies, and it's about timing jumps so you can hop over the nuts that they're throwing at you or whatever they are. So yeah, it's pretty much a game about timing more than anything else. And especially these bits here. And you can see how important timing is to both dodging the fireballs that are coming your way and actually getting a shuriken in the dragon's mouth. Beautifully done. 6,000 points. On to the next hole. Right, so let's get it as close as we can to the sand trap. I guess it's also about prioritising targets as well. So as you're running along, you need to figure out if the ninjas who are approaching you are a bigger threat, or if you need to take out the gophers. Especially if the gophers are throwing things at you. I've not got much health left. One thing I feel this game is very good at is giving you feedback. So, like the use of sound. I know I took the piss out of the 7800 sound chip, but this game I think actually makes very good use of the limited sounds to give you feedback on what you're doing. So you know when you've hit something, you know when you've taken damage. So it's very simple, but very effective, and really important in a game like this. Because it's very easy for the screen to get extremely busy We'll just run on and pretend that didn't happen. Oh, what's that? Oh, extra life. Very nice. So the power-ups appear randomly, as you can probably tell. Don't think I've ever seen one of those before. Not sure if you get extra life at score boundaries as well. This is the era of gaming where you tended to. But if you do, I don't know what the score boundary is. Most fireballs do a lot more damage than anything else on the course here. You have to be really careful in those boss fights because you can absolutely plough through your lives if you're not being careful. Right, I'd rather not take my shot from in the water. Not that it really matters in this game, but I just find it helpful to have a bit of a run up to the watery section just because negotiating those sharks is a little bit tricky. But yeah, I love this game. It's unironically one of my favourite games on the Evercade. And if I had an Atari 7800, this would definitely be in my collection. That's because it's one of those games that... It's a meme because it's such a stupid concept. But it actually backs that up with some solid gameplay. It's very simple gameplay, yes. And in 1990 there were plenty more complex, deep games of this type around. But there's just something wonderful about this game that I just adore. And to go into the sea and kick some sharks. Kick. 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 Ow. Kick. Oh no, ninjas and sharks. There goes that extra life. I think in difficult segments like this, it's almost worth just trying to sort of push through as quickly as you can. Rather than stopping to defeat all the enemies. Because as you might expect from a golf game, you're best off trying to stay on the fairway, because that's where you encounter the most straightforward enemies to deal with. They get harder as the game progresses, so like, if we manage to get that far, you'll see that there's some sort of almost invisible ninjas start showing up in the later levels. They wear green outfits and they blend in very strongly with the background. I love those purple mountains in the background. That for me is one of the iconic Atari looks in general. Not just for the 7800, but Atari in general. I very much associate that with the Atari version of Pole Position, actually. Which I know is a Namco game, but I first played Pole Position on the Atari 8-bit in cartridge form. And thus, for me, Pole Position will always have a certain Atari connection to it, and just looking at those mountains in the background of Ninja Golf just reminds me of the time I spent playing that lovely Atari version of Pole Position. Alright, 3 holes down. On to hole 4, which I think is generally about the limit of where I can get to, but let's see if we can survive this. Already beaten my last high score, which is good. See, there's the invisible ninjas. I love that. So silly. That's really nice use of colour, because you can see them, but it's making them very difficult to see without needing to be reliant on anything like fancy transparency effects or anything like that. And then we've got the sort of mud coloured ones in this one, You're blending into the background there. You can see them a little bit more easily because their belts are green. And you have the birds to deal with in this section. And I don't think you can actually kill the birds because you can't do a jumping attack. I know. What kind of ninja can't do a jumping attack? The answer is this ninja. This ninja cannot do a jumping attack. Right, we're nearly out of the woods, so to speak. Oh no! Terrible shot. Dreadful shot. Right, do better. Okay, back onto the fairway. But you see, it's getting more challenging by the fact that you've got 3 ninjas coming at you as well, so it's not just that they're harder to see, you've actually got more of them approaching you at once as well, which means you've got more to deal with, more targets to prioritise. You've got the gophers to deal with still as well. I guess there's an element of Irem's kung fu to this in a lot of ways, in terms of the fact that everything only takes 1 hit to kill, but it's important that you kill them in the right order. And you think about what all their capabilities are, and you dodge their attacks accordingly, because otherwise you'll get yourself into a real mess. Oh, this has not been a good hole for a number of strokes, but, well, here we go. I'm not confident we're going to make it through the dragon encounter this time. But let's do what we can. So I'll try and get him on the way back to the left, because he moves more slowly in that direction. Whoops! Avoid the fireballs! It's not going too badly, actually. I won't lie, I'm surprising myself with my performance. Direct hit. Another direct hit. Come on, die. Oh, I've done it. On to hole 5. I'm not going to last long with that much health. I don't think I've ever done this hole before. Well, no time like the present. Oh, wrong button. That was always going to happen, wasn't it? Anyway, that is Ninja Golf. As I once again cause dishonours to fall upon my family and myself, I'll just say, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.